move. Hands up,
I'm a
now.
judge. This is my home. Do you have a warrant?
Yeah? That's what they all say when they get caught somewhere they don't belong.
I belong here. You're on my property.
You don't look like you belong in this neighborhood. Get on the ground before I put you there.
At 6:42 on a Sunday morning in Coral Springs, Florida, the street was still. Sprinklers ticked across trimmed lawns. A few porch lights glowed in the early gray. Federal Judge Nadine Ashford, 54 years old, stood beside her car in the driveway wearing a white dress and low heels, a Bible and handbag on the passenger seat, her keys in her hand. She was heading to early service the way she did most Sundays, quietly and alone. Then 3 unmarked black SUVs turned hard onto her street, engines loud enough to break the silence of the entire block. They pulled into her driveway in formation, tires barking against the pavement. 6 ICE agents stepped out in tactical vests, sidearms visible, boots heavy on the concrete. The lead agent, Brock Stanton, 43, moved toward her with one hand resting on his holster and the other pointing directly at her. "Don't move. Stay right there." Ashford froze, keys still between her fingers. Behind Stanton, 5 agents fanned out across her property like she was a target in a raid. No one announced a warrant. No one stated probable cause. No one asked a single question before giving commands. What Ashford didn't know yet was that minutes earlier, Stanton had keyed his radio and told dispatch he was approaching a residence where the occupant, quote, "doesn't match the address." That phrase, captured on the dispatch recording, would become the first piece of evidence in a federal investigation that would end careers, trigger congressional hearings, and settle for millions. But in that moment, all Nadine Ashford knew was that 6 armed men had surrounded her in her own driveway, and not one of them saw a judge. They saw a black woman who, in their eyes, didn't belong. Nadine Ashford was not a woman the system had overlooked. She was one it had elevated because she had earned every step. Born in Liberty City, Miami, one of the toughest neighborhoods in South Florida, she was raised by a single mother who worked double shifts as a hospital custodian. She attended public schools where half the students didn't graduate. She did, first in her class. A full academic scholarship took her to Howard University, where she studied political science and graduated summa cum laude. Then came Yale Law School, where she was one of only a handful of black women in her class. She clerked for a federal appellate judge in the 11th Circuit, then spent over a decade as a civil rights litigator, before being nominated to the United States District Court for the Southern District of Florida. She was confirmed with bipartisan support 7 years before that Sunday morning. On the bench,